Welcome to another episode of the Miami Comedy Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Miami Arches. That big fountain of concrete happening on the I-395, which has been being under construction since, I think, almost a decade now. I think it's been like a good 8 years since it's been announced. They said it was going to finish in 2024, then 2026, and now it's looking like 2030s with about $1 billion worth of local taxpayer money. And why not? Why can't there be a little bit of corruption when it comes to one big, immense construction happening in our city? I mean, who wouldn't want it any other way? Wouldn't you want it to be full of shadiness and unsolved mysteries and a little bit of money laundering? Like, wouldn't you want that to be a part of the symbolism that's being constructed here in the city of Miami? That's what I don't understand. Everybody's been complaining, talking about, oh, the traffic is so bad, and oh, when is this thing going to be done? Who cares? If traffic were to clear up, would Miami be the same? Think about that for a moment. I remember during COVID, whenever I'd get in my car and drive around, there was no traffic. I felt like I was in an episode of The Twilight Zone. It didn't feel right. All my hopes and dreams came true while I was experiencing road rage. Oh, why are there so many people in the city clogging up the streets? Why is there always construction happening? And then one day you wake up and it's empty streets and you're just driving around on an empty city and you're just not feeling right. Like something feels off. Why am I not angry? This is usually the time of day where I'm yelling out my window and making sure that somebody sees my middle finger at some point during the day. It just didn't feel right. So I hope Miami continues this construction because from what I recall, since I was a child, Miami has been under construction. I've gotten accustomed to it. It's normal for me. In the 80s when I was a kid, I remember that I would be stuck in traffic in the backseat of my parents' car. In the 90s, when I got my first car, in the early 2000s, I was stuck in traffic. It's a pastime. The 2010s, there was traffic. 2020s as well. If Back to the Future was filmed in Miami, all 3 episodes would still have construction happening in our expressways. That's just what it is. And that's the thing about the word construction. Just like the many other things that Miami is known for. You know, Art Basel has conceptual artists. Now the expressways have construction workers pouring lots of concrete and eating pan con, lechon for lunch. The word con in Miami is just one of the best ways to describe what we do around here. So this is just another thing that we're adding to the list. And there's nothing wrong with that. Miami deserves this construction. You know what I mean? Miami is a city that needs a piece like this in order for us to invest, not only to be known for the piece about the shadiness that happens and where all the money's going, but also speculating about what we do as a community while it's being built. Like we're all coming together to have a conversation about why it's costing almost $1 billion and a decade to finish. It's the most Miami thing ever, if you think about it. It's flashy, it's expensive, and most importantly, it's suspicious. And there are many things in Miami that could have been built. But I like this idea. And it really feels as if a plastic surgeon was involved. Because out of all the things, you know, why curves? You would think that somebody got on the F. board meeting and was like, this city's way too flat. And we need to add a BBL or some sort of structure that signifies, you know, what we're known for. Plastic surgery, right? And it's the same way the ladies get plastic surgery here in the city of Miami. No questions asked. You know, the sugar daddy funds all of it. No question whatsoever. Do whatever you want, babe. Just make sure it looks good from afar. Oh, what's the price tag? And you know she's going to add a little extra thousands on there. Just for good measure. So it's the same thing. Miami's getting a BBL, and we're all coming together to talk about it just like we do with everything else in the city. something controversial is happening and the city starts stirring the pot. And even though we might talk shit about it, we secretly love it. Joe Ross says, start with how much tolls, money, and collect from the Dolphin Expressway alone. Now, I've mentioned this many times. You go eastbound on the expressway, and you got to hit 3 to 4 tolls. If you're going to the beach, especially. But that's just what it is, man. Everything is on the east side, okay? And there's a reason for that. Everything is connected there. You got up north in Wynwood, then you're going downtown, then you've got Brickell, then you've got Coral Gables, and then maybe Kendall. Maybe, if you want to include it as part of the party in Miami. I hear good things about Kendall, though. Kendall wants to keep it a little low-key. You know, they don't want to make it too poppin' because then, you know, prices start going up. They already cracked down on some HOA thing a couple of years ago. You know, they try to do like the same thing they do with Brickell with the HOAs. They try to do it in Kendall. They got cracked down, and we never heard from HOA in that area ever again. You know what? It's probably a good thing Kendall keeps it low-key. But yeah, Miami deserves this. It's, I think it's called The Fountain. The arch is called yeah. And I think that's a pretty good name because, you know, that's a very appropriate way to call it because it's, you know, it's like there's so many factors to it. Like why would they call it the fountain? Well, I mean, the fountain of youth, right? That's good symbolism. Lots of young kids are moving here, renting out Lambos, taking photos and videos in front of the rented Lambos and saying they're selling e-courses. You've got OnlyFans, right? You got to be youthful to make sure you got a lot of money flowing into that. You know what I mean? What's another reason why they're going to call it the fountain? You got to stay hydrated, right? You do a lot of partying in this city. You got to make sure you drink lots of water the next day so you can keep that youth going as long as you can before you crash out. Ezekiel says, do you do some No, we moved. We grew up. We got a brand new Tuesday show. Hey, you know what? We can go ahead and do a little segue promo. Fantastic Tuesday night comeback over at Blackbird Ordinary. Now, Tuesday nights, me and JJ brought 2 Lit Tuesdays. Last night was the launch. Fantastic show. Great turnout. And just like the banner said, we got 2 lit. I mean, I didn't. JJ did. The people we were hanging out with got lit. But I, like a responsible adult at the age of 40, got lit just enough and then went home. So there you go, Ezekiel. Steven, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Donnie Gel. We're here talking about why is it called the fountain? Let's see. The fountain also symbolizes, you know, massive flooding that happens when it rains hard for like 5 minutes. It slowly fills up the city while the sea levels rise. The fountain can also be symbolism for the money that you wash before you launder it. I like how everybody speculates that. I do it jokingly, but whenever I make a reel or a sketch, you know, putting some sort of joke idea / concept out there, the people of Miami take it seriously. Do I know what's happening behind the scenes building this fountain? No, of course not. I know nothing about it. All I know is that it's taking $800+ million, almost a decade to finish. I said, what's the tallest building in the world? They said it's in Dubai. How much was it? $1.5 billion. How long did it take? 4 to 6 years. And I'm like, all right, wait a second. I'm doing the math here. So the fountain was $800 million. It's been 8 years, not done. It looks like it's halfway done. So I was like, all right, well, it's kind of funny to make a sketch about somebody that's like a plastic surgeon going into the FDOT meeting, talking about building it, siphoning the money, and then that's it. That's the sketch. But then when you post it, the comment sections just start lighting up like people who have been doing documentaries, investigating what's going on behind the scenes, behind the construction of this thing. And people are really believing that there's like some sort of corrupt, I don't know. But if it's true, I would want my city to do that rather. I wouldn't want my city to build something like in a wholesome, we're going through all the motions correctly. No, do some corrupt stuff, man. Let us speculate the shadiness behind it. That's what makes this construction fun. Right? If you really think about it, it's a great art piece for everything it symbolizes, you know? I think the number one thing that it's symbolizing is what I've been seeing in the last few years. Since the pandemic, I mean, Miami's going through some major gentrification. All right? And the fountain is washing away all the people who can't afford the $30 margaritas around here. So it's a great piece of art. It represents Miami in so many different ways. There's lots of angles to it, because you may not think that Miami is going through gentrification right now because it's already been done. Well, it's not just, it didn't just happen. It's doing laps. Because the other day in Brickell, when we were doing the Blackbird Ordinary show, I saw a brand new level of gentrification that I've never seen or heard of before. I saw people in Brickell rollerblading. And this is the kind of gentrification that needs to be studied, man. I heard of moving away poverty from an area, but like what I witnessed last night was the removal of upper middle class. I didn't know that was possible. Here's the thing. I bet the people in Brickell that join these communities, they're doing it as a way to cope with what they thought was a good idea when they packed their bags and moved to Brickell and thought like, oh, you know, let's be part of this community. It's a bustling area in the city of Miami. But then after like a few months of what they thought was going to be like a great place to live in, they thought like, oh, wait a second, this place really is expensive. So now they have to join things like run clubs. They got to, you know, do cycling and rollerblading now. You know, just find all the ways that they could just block traffic and jaywalk. You know, you got to get a French bulldog, go to the dog park, anything that doesn't cost money, because I'm sure they're budgeting. Now, if you're like a multimillionaire that moved to Brickell, that was the intention. We built Brickell to bring that money in here. But then you've got like all the people seeing what's happening in Brickell, like, oh, I can move there. I can live like that. I want to be around all that. And then they got there and they're like, oh, shoot, I better join a run club or something. I better keep a French bulldog nearby to keep me company, because I'm not going to be able to make friends until the next 3 months of rent being paid. So, yeah, when I saw rollerblading, I was like, yep, this is cope. They're coping all right. Dude, everybody was falling. People were holding on to stuff, holding hands, you know, just waiting to get hit by a car. Attorneys, you know what? Attorneys should start posting advertisements on like the signs that they have there. Don't join a Brickell run or cycling club without you getting a good attorney by your side. If you got hit jaywalking in the area, hit me up. Hey, that's a good one. All right. We got a new sketch. What's up to everybody on the chat? Garavito, that's my last name. There you go. So, yeah, I think that it's a symbol of gentrification. And what's happening in Brickell, based out of all the things that I've been seeing, you know, with all these clubs and like, you know, just people coping, trying to make ends meet in that area is like people that do visit Miami and they go to Brickell, and, you know, they're the ones that really are filling in the restaurants and the bars. Because whenever I hang out in the area, the people that I meet at the bars or at the restaurants, they're always like out of towners, you know, just visiting or, you know, here for a little while or whatever. They're very transient whenever they go inside of the Brickell establishments. And I'm thinking, well, you know, if I weren't living in Miami and I came to visit Brickell, and then everybody that I meet at the bars, they're not locals, but rather they're like, you know, people visiting, I would think like maybe there should be like a touristy bar that treats Like whenever you see all the Run Club Brickell people, they're like, like the zoo. When you visit. Yeah, Brickelites is like they herd together like animals, and you're like, all right, everybody, welcome to the Brickell Bar over here. We see the local herds getting together to block traffic with their bicycles. Oh, look, it's a Brickellite under its natural habitat, heading from Whole Foods and surviving HOA fees to get one more sip of coconut water. That's another good sketch right there. We should have like a David Attenborough documentary of someone surviving Brickell, the Brickell lifestyle, like if it was in the safari. I would love to see that. Oh, that's a sketch right there. All right. 2 sketches back to back. Shout out to everybody on the chat. New transplants live in Brickell. Yeah, that's the bustling area of Miami. When people look up where to move to Miami, the first one says, go to Brickell. Go to Brickell. There's lots of apartments. You go downstairs. There's parties. There's bars. And all that is true. But only if you're visiting. It's a lot of fun. But if for me personally, this is just, this is called being mature, where when you make an opinion or a statement, you first say, in my opinion, because there's nothing worse than the people out there making statements and opinions and thinking they're right. Okay? I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that talks my shit, but I also say, in my opinion. So in my opinion, if I were to get a home, I love my home, but if I were to get another one, like if I were to get, from the ground up, build it, move stuff in, do that whole thing, start a family, I would want to do it in a place that's like quiet, because I used to live in Miami Beach for like 4 years, and there's nothing more tempting than laying on your bed and just hearing in the distance a nightclub going boom, 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 and you're like, I'm gonna go down, man, forget work tomorrow. I'll just call in sick. I'm gonna go. I hear the rhythm of the night. It's calling my name, and I need to go party. And then next thing you know, you're blacking out on a Tuesday in South Beach. You thought you made a friend, but they're really just there for one more night. And I'm just telling you, that whole thing of like being around the party is rough. It's rough. It's rough on your lifestyle. It's rough on your liver, and it's rough on your soul. All right? Because when you hang out with a lot of people on a nightly basis, man, you end up in situations that you have to go to a confessional booth after. You know what I mean? So, anyways, to get back to the fountain, the arches of Miami. Bro, how do I get rich in Miami? I really think the best way to do, because look, I'm not saying that I'm like rich, but everybody has their own way of living. So if you really want to be rich, I love talking about this clearly because I'm taking a little segue here, but I like helping people out in my own capacity, right? Like I said, I'm no Warren Buffett or whatever, but it's really all the lifestyle you have. So if you have the ability to live free within your means, not the means of you trying to beat another person, all right? Like you're happy living a lifestyle that you create, that takes like art. You know what I mean? Like, how do you live a lifestyle where you're free, right? And then once you do that, you have to accumulate as much as you can while you're living free. So, one of the best ways to do this, of course, is like being an entrepreneur or starting a business. Go online, even if it has to be a side hustle. But what you want to do is you want to expand the capacity of like, I don't have to respond to anyone. And there's levels to that. There's levels to I don't have to respond to anyone, right? The first one is, you got to get FU money. So when people start disrespecting you or they think that you're dependent on them, you break off from that. Then you got to go into like more like I've got options kind of vibe. Like I don't need to stay here. Like I'm competent. That's a good one. I'm competent enough to do more than this, right? That's like a mindset thing. And, you get good at stuff, right? You learn whatever skill that is needed. You get good at doing that. Yeah, and then just start stacking as much as you can while you're in that zone of like living a lifestyle below your means, living a lifestyle that you're happy and proud of. Because in Miami especially, we're really good at comparing. Like, am I doing good compared to what this person is posting about? And once you get to that level where you break free from that, and then you don't need to like show off, that's actually a flex on its own. You know what I mean? Like when people come up to me, it's like, you make a living doing comedy and coaching and networking? How? Well, at first it was difficult, but then at the end of the day, you get good at it, and you just become so competent at it that now you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So that's really what it is, man. It's a balance of stacking up, living your lifestyle, don't compare yourself to others, and then just be free and as sovereign as possible, meaning there's no dependency on anything. And it's hard at first because you got to detach yourself from like, well, do I have the nice car, or am I living in the best area in Miami, or all that stuff that the internet tricked you into believing. So once you detach from that, stack up and make yourself competent. There you go. All right, little segue for the chat. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Last thing, what else could Miami have built? What's up, man? I'm glad that you're doing great, Manny. Yeah, man. Ain't no fallbacks here, bro. Only up, and a fallback is only an opportunity to get back up and do it even better. And now you know how to do it even better. You get more wiser, right? So make sure that a little bit of suffering is also involved. That's a very important part. There's no way you can make it in life if you didn't suffer a little bit. Imagine you being born rich. Oh, that's no fun. You know what? I'm going to add more to the segue. There's this book that came out. You guys should read it. Hey, you know what? I could just tie this together. The fountain and all the money that everyone's talking about, we can tie it in on how to make your own money so you can make your own fountain of abundance. Ah, look at that. Look at the way I pieced it together. Yeah, check out this new book called The Art of Spending. And it talks about how people that are born rich will end up finding the same problems as people that aren't, and or they're more miserable. Because the only thing that feels good in life on a consistent basis is the progress of it, not the completion of it. So it's better to get richer than to be rich. All right, there you go. Little piece right there from the book. All right, closing it off. Other things that Miami could have built. I've been saying this for a few years now on my sketches, but Miami should have a Statue of Liberty. All right? And it's a statue of a bottle service girl holding up a bottle with a sparkler as a symbol to get all the sugar daddies from around the world to come here and splurge. A beacon of financial regret, if you will. And it doesn't say, what does the sign say in New York for the Statue of Liberty? It doesn't say, give me your tired and your poor. No, it says, give me your Cash App and your Amex. And we're going to call it the Magic City because we are going to make your money disappear. Just like the sparkler on a gram for just a few moments before it goes out and no one cares anymore that you got bottle service. All right, now you see it. Now I'm broke. All right, and this is kind of like this Statue of Liberty. We're going to call it the Statue of Litberty. And it's going to be a nod, maybe even a flip-off to New York, the tri-state area that moved to Miami recently. Okay? Because if they're going to call us the sixth borough, or this is going to be our answer to that. We're going to out-borough New York. Okay? The sixth borough is going to be so much of a borough that the other five are irrelevant because we got them beat with this statue. I'm telling you. The people of Miami need to build the Statue of Litberty. If you could build a fountain costing $1 billion, you can do this in Brickell, man. And it'll justify the prices of the drinks. When people come to Brickell and they see that, They're going to be like, man, we're really going to spend a lot of money on alcohol. Yes, you're going to get price gouged. That's exactly what we're going to do. The Statue of Litberty is right there. You know what you got yourself into. There's no more surprises when the tab comes after 3 drinks and it's over $100. That's it. $30 drinks minimum in Brickell from now on. Oh, and if you start dining, you might as well dine alone. Okay? Because that bill is gonna feel like it was a whole family gets you. All right, so there you go. Man, Brickell has really changed, hasn't it? Last night, not only did I see the rollerblades, but it's also like being gentrified by a bunch of like robots. There's so many of them now. I want to buy one of those robots. Those little bots that go around doing deliveries. If I was a plug in Brickell, I'd buy one of those things and it'll, bam, right there. You're just camouflaging your way into making a delivery and no one's ever going to suspect there's contraband in the thing. Okay? That's the way I think about it all. The fountain is just a symbol of all the changes that are coming in Miami. And it's got multi ways of defining what we are and what we're becoming. It's exciting. I actually like it. I am behind and fully support the construction that's being built on the I-395. It's a $1 billion metaphor of who we become. And I'm excited. I'm excited for it to finish and seeing what's going to be built after that. And you know what? There should also be a plaque underneath it somewhere where it reads, dedicated to everyone who complained about the traffic and still took the expressways in Miami. Dedicated to all the people that didn't make it on time to their destination. All right. That is it for the podcast. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Here's some of the shows that we've got going on. Let's see. Monday, we're at Thank You Miami. If you guys want to go out, have a beer, try out some munchies, this is definitely the spot. Tuesday nights, brand new show, as mentioned on the chat. We are at Blackbird Ordinary. We've grown. The place is awesome. It really felt like a comedy club behind this nightclub. And if you guys haven't partied on a Tuesday, this is definitely where it's at in Brickell. Locals and tourists get together, and it's got to be the most explosive party in the area. I sometimes even feel like the Tuesday nights there are way better than a party you'd go to on a weekend. It's crazy to see. Wednesday nights, tonight in particular, we are at Fritz and Franz, a German bar over in Coral Gables. It's Oktoberfest. So we've got extra beers on tap, and we're celebrating. I think we're wearing lederhosen. I think I wore one the other day. If a vest is part of it, I definitely wear something like that. It was super hot, though. I took it off. Those things are heavy, man. Thursday nights, tomorrow, we're at Mode in downtown. This is one of our more popular shows because it's in a basement in Miami, and it really does feel like a comedy club. Friday nights, we're back at Thank You Miami, and we are working on a brand new weekend lineup for the city of Miami when it comes to comedy shows. All right? So make sure you guys go to MiamiComedy.com, subscribe to the newsletter. I'll send you some emails about the shows, give you updates, as well as buy one, get one free offers, complimentary drinks, even free shots, all right? Because we're all out here trying to get lit and trying to get a laugh. All right? Thank you very much once again. I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great night, everybody.